Hi there, I'm Big Rob, and this is my game channel. For over 30 years, I've worked in video games. In 1991, I was lucky enough to be dragged into the industry by a buddy of mine from high school. At that point in my life, I was studying to be a film director. I never did get the chance to direct a film, but I did end up working on over 30 video game titles across 3 epic studios. Now, as far as this channel goes, you might have ended up here because of the Wall-E meets the Wii video that I posted over a decade ago. For many years, that video saw very little traction until about 6 months ago. It's received over half its views in the last 90 days alone. Obviously, you guys have a huge appetite for video game history, and I have so much to share. I have tons of stories for you guys, like the one about the naked programmer at Virgin Games, or what the secret was behind the rapid success at Shiny Entertainment. No, Tommy, it wasn't about you. Over the years, I've worked with at least 6 studios, but 3 stood out amongst the rest. My first gig was with Virgin Games, which later became Virgin Interactive Entertainment. I know, everyone thought it was pretentious as well. I like to refer to that time in my life as the Virgin High years. The company had expanded into 2 buildings, and it was truly alive with the excitement of a booming return that video games was making after the crash in the mid-80s. Hands down, it was the most fun experience I've ever had at a job, and it was truly the Wild West of video game development. So many great games came out of that studio, like Aladdin, Lion King, Terminator, 7-Up Spot, and even some great PC games like Dune 1 and 2, or Command & Conquer.
Yes, sir.
As well as pioneering projects such as Toonstruck and The Seventh Guest.
I guess our host wants us to fend for ourselves.
One of my favorite stories is the making of the Demolition Man video game. But that's a story for another time. Speaking of which, let me know down in the comments if I mention a game or studio you'd like to hear more about. I'll prioritize what I talk about based on what stories you guys want to hear. So, I was eventually dragged out of Virgin by David Perry to join him and his merry band of game makers over at Shiny Entertainment. I worked at the Laguna Beach office where Earthworm Jim, Wild 9, Messiah, and other classic games were crafted. Unfortunately, I left Shiny before they took on the Matrix. Nonetheless, I'll be doing interviews with key players from back then. We'll be talking with industry veteran Brian Wicklum, who was the producer on 2 Matrix games, as well as many other titles that we've all played and come to adore. After my stint at Shiny, I moved up to what I like to call Hell A to work for Heavy Iron Studios. At that point, they were one of 20-some-odd studios under the THQ umbrella and are the only THQ-created studio left standing today. I worked on many games at Heavy Iron, including 2 SpongeBob games, a bunch of Pixar movie-based titles, and the infamous Family Guy game. Now that's a cautionary tale that needs to be told. I even got to work on the Wii version of the ill-fated Disney Infinity game. At some point, we'll have studio director Lyle Hall on the show to see if we can get him to spill the beans on any Heavy Iron secrets. And finally, I can't wait to tell all of you about my failed indie project that I developed in conjunction with Heavy Iron. If you're at all interested, you can see the whole trailer here. Besides these 3 main players, I was also fortunate enough to work with several other developers like Sony, Interplay, Westwood, and more recently the newly formed Brunner House. All in all, it's been a wild and wonderful ride. I love looking back and telling these tales about an industry that was just starting to find its way, and I hope you join me for this nostalgic trip down memory lane. As I said before, please drop a comment down below and let me know what games or studios you'd like me to cover first. Also, if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I promise to deliver fun stories and more exclusive video content from my own personal archives. Well, this is Big Rob, signing off from the Millionaires Club, and until the next time, see you around the campus.